All right, so in this video, I'm going over how to optimize your Google ad campaigns after you've launched them. So once you launch them, you don't just stop there. You need to make sure you're consistently optimizing it and lowering your cost per conversion, making sure every dollar that you put in gets the maximum efficiency so that you can overall make more profit, right? So as you can see here, optimization is where the money is. Most local businesses judge Google ads in 2 weeks, kill them, and say, oh, Google ads didn't work for me. Whereas the winners run a simple weekly optimization routine and let compounding do the work. Because as you spend more money, you'll get more data and make better decisions within your ad account. So pretty much think of this as a checklist you run every week for 30 to 60 minutes, not just random tweaking, right? And only change a few things at a time so you can see what actually moved the needle. So you want to make sure that when you are changing stuff, you want to keep all variables the same, unless there's clear, obvious losers. That way, when you do a test optimization for your Google ads, you know exactly what you're changing and you know where the issue is, right? So you want to know your targets before you touch anything. So before even doing optimization, you want to target your cost per lead or CPL based on your unit economics. And you want minimum data before making a decision. So, for low volume local campaigns, 100 clicks to 200 clicks or 5 to 10 conversions per element, or keyword / ad, whatever you want to call it, before you make big calls. Because another thing here is volume negates luck and you just not having enough sample size data. So sometimes, you spend $100 on your ads and you're like, oh, the ads didn't work for me. But then when you look deeply, like you spent $100 on your campaign. If you spent, $1 per keyword in that campaign, then none of the keywords itself got enough spend for you to say that it didn't work, right? So it's very important that you get that right. And in the account, you always want to set, the date range to last 7 days or last 14 days before optimizing, right? Because you don't want to count today, especially if it's like midday and it doesn't count. And you want to make results based on, recent data. Obviously, take into account the history as well, but you always, when making optimizations, want to look at the last 7 days or 14 days so you don't lose any more spend. And you want to sort by cost first to fix the biggest leaks. Don't sort it by impression. Don't sort it by, conversions even. Sort it by cost so that you know where you're spending your money. And that's the only thing that matters. Then you can work your way and reverse engineer from there, right? Cool. So next is search terms and negative keywords, which is your biggest fast win, right? So you want to go to campaign, insight and reports, and then search terms, as you can see here. So it would go under here. I'm just using a test account, but you'll see the search terms here. And you want to look at the last 7 to 14 days, right? So that would be like, last 7 days or last 14 days here or last week, right? And you want to sort it by cost. So there'll be a bunch of columns here. And you want to sort it by cost, essentially, because, you can have a lot of people, a lot of impressions and sort it by impressions, sort it by conversions. But at the end of the day, you want to maximize every dollar you put in. So you want to know which search terms are getting the most cost, right? So for each term, if it's super irrelevant, like people asking for jobs, people wanting free, let's say your dentist, free dental service, do it yourself training, or if they're in other cities, and it has spend, then essentially we want to add it as a negative keyword here, right? If it's relevant but never converts after decent spend, we want to add as a negative or lower bids / pause related keyword. And if it did convert, right, and isn't a keyword yet, maybe you used broad match or something like that, then we want to add it as its own exact / phrase match keyword with a tailored ad. Because if you didn't think of this one keyword or search term when you were making the ads, and then all of a sudden you ran some phrase match or broad match terms and the search term converted, you're like, okay, shit, maybe I should run more ads towards that search term. So you would do that if that were the case. Next is the keywords and match types. So at ad group level, we want to kill or pause any keywords that has, spent over your quote unquote test budget with 0 conversions, right? Just get rid of it. We want to also kill and pause keywords that have a terrible click-through rate or CTR versus the ad group average. So when you look at all the other ad groups, you want to make sure that if this one has a super low click-through rate, then you may as well just pause it, right? In terms of consolidation, we want fewer, tighter themes per ad group to keep relevance high. And the default recommendation here is start, / bias towards exact plus phrase match on high intent terms, and only use broad match when you have strong negatives and want more scale, right? So that's just usually how we do things. And then, the ad only works when the right people see it. So, we want to tighten who sees it instead of blaming the platform, as you can see here, right? In terms of the ads, we want to kill losers and keep testing winners. So at the ad level, for each ad group, we want to keep one sort of control responsive search ad and one challenger. So once the challenger has enough impressions, right, and enough people have seen the ad, and we can work our click-through rates and conversion rates. If the click-through rate and conversion rate beat control, then we want to pause control and make the new winner the new control, right? And if it's worse, then we want to kill the challenger and write a new one. And this is exactly how you keep testing ads. So things to test is a different lead offer, for example, like a free quote or same day service, stronger proof as well. So reviews, years in business, any awards, anything like that you're able to mention. And then the last thing is a different first line / hook in terms of the headline. And that could also be a headline on the ad copy itself or headline in your landing page. And in terms of the principle, you want to iterate creative and copy first before you blow up the whole offer or funnel. And you want a steady cadence of new ads, not one new ad a month, right? High test volume finds winners faster. So again, volume negates luck, right? Cool. So in terms of bids, budgets, and devices at campaign level, we want to increase budget on campaigns hitting or beating target CPL. We want to decrease or cap budgets on campaigns and missing targets, right? And in terms of the device reports, if mobile CPL is much better, which for 80 and 90% of you it is, we want to bid up on the mobile keywords and making sure that we're bidding for more users on mobile, or shift more budget there in general, right? And if desktop is trash for this niche, then we want to bid down or exclude if extreme. There's a world where you can definitely just go pure mobile only, don't even show up, don't even pay for clicks on desktop, right? And we don't change bids strategy every week. We want to give a smart bidding time, so once we have enough conversions, so we can actually make that decision, right? Cool. Next is the location and schedule. So in terms of the location report, we want to find suburbs and postcodes with good CPL and add positive bid adjustments. And in areas with lots of spend and no conversions, we want to reduce bids or exclude. And in terms of time of the day / week, you want to obviously look at when leads are actually coming in. Turn off obviously dead hours, or another thing is when you don't have anyone able to make the phone calls. So if you're doing if you're driving a lot of conversions through phone calls, you want to turn off in the times where your receptionist or whoever takes the calls don't work. Reason being is because a lot of the time, if it's like same day bookings or emergency stuff, like emergency dental, emergency plumbing, whatever it is, you're going to pay for the click, and you're not going to win the business because they're just going to call the person down the road, right? Or you can bid down. So we also want to bid up during peak converting times. For example, for tradies, it's early morning and early evening, right? Because that's where people, let's use the plumber example again. If my tap broke, or, if I need, heating in my water or something, then I will usually do it in the morning as an example, right? But obviously look at the data and make that decision there. And in terms of 30-day optimization ladder, this is how it looks like. Week 1 to 2 is mostly search term cleanup and killing the obvious losers. Week 3 to 4 is to start scaling winners, budgets and bids, and then tightening locations and pushing new ad tests. And we don't want to judge the channel in 10 days, right? Volume negates luck. You want to make sure that you're spending enough money, and you want to judge your ability to improve it over 30 to 60 days, right? So that's how you optimize Google Ads. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.